Well, today's Justice for George protests began about 12:30 at the state capitol, led by the Denver Broncos, and our Dylan Thomas is at the protest. Dylan?
Yeah, Kathy, we're here on the steps of the west end of the Capitol, where Senate Bill 217 is now pushing through, which would actually push more accountability onto law enforcement by increasing the amount of body cameras throughout the state that would be worn, and also increasing the transparency that the police departments would have to have by releasing video at an earlier date than once before. As Dave was just talking about, you can see behind me the clouds starting to roll through, but still dozens of people, actually I would say hundreds of people, getting close to the better end of thousands, are still here on the west end of the Capitol, holding signs, getting people to honk horns in support of their movement here right now. But I'm going to have you guys come down here and visit with this gentleman, Brendan, over here. Hey, Brendan, can we grab you for a second?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so we're live on CBSN Denver right now. So Brendan is actually, would you consider yourself an artist?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
People right now are congratulating him for some of his work he's done. He's actually created these shirts right here and a lot of the artwork that actually depict a black man being shot. Can you kind of tell us the meaning behind this artwork which you created?
Yeah, of course. It was a piece that I shot with my little brother, and we shot it shortly after the Ahmaud Arbery incident. Shortly after it became publicized, because it did happen back almost in February. And I kind of wanted a piece that kind of just depicted something that would catch the eye of the viewer and make them think. You know what I mean? Something that is kind of, makes them uncomfortable. And my favorite thing, my favorite reaction to it is that when people tell me that it made them uncomfortable, I feel like it's really doing its job. It's hard to look at. It's a pretty graphic image. It's implied graphic violence, and it's been paramount to changing the viewpoint and changing the narrative of people that have seen the picture. You know what I mean? I've been getting messages all week. I've been actually out here every day handing out these prints to people for free. Just to spread the word and spread the message, having conversations with people about what needs to be changed in America with policy regarding police, just regarding violence against people in general, you know what I mean? And it's been really insightful because people have taught me a lot. I feel like I've taught a lot of people things, and it's nice to see. It's sad that this piece of artwork had to be made. It's also sad that this is something that brings the American people together so well.
And I think you just touched on this, but is it safe to say the graphic nature of it, an image of a black man being shot and the blood going out the side of the head, a depiction of that, is it that graphic nature which can grab the entire nation's attention, no matter their race, color, gender, any of that?
Oh, of course. Graphic violence is something that people have been trying in debate with all the time. The violence in video games being linked to violence in adolescence and that kind of thing. So, gun violence in general, huge issue in America. So that kind of thing really is what captures the attention of people, is that it encompasses us all. It scares us all. You know what I mean? It's not just it's not just the image itself, but like the feeling that it gives you.
And I don't know this answer. Is there a specific reason why the individual pulling the trigger is not a black individual? It's the arm of a white person.
It's to show that there's two sides to the narrative. You know what I mean? If you look closer at the image, if you've seen the image online or in print, you can see that the nails on this person, they've been chewed off because of anxiety. She has a swallow tattoo. Her hand is bandaged up, and it shows that we understand as black people, as people of color, that white people, our Caucasian counterparts, that they're going through their own things. We suffer from anxiety, we suffer from depression. So it's really supposed to be more generalized. You know what I mean? It's supposed to represent. I could have put the arm of a black person in there. I thought about putting the arm of a police officer in there. But to me that was just too specific to this narrative. Ahmaud Arbery was killed by two armed men that were not part of the police force. You know what I mean? And so it's not just police violence. It's not just black on black violence. It's violence against each other as people. We're all people, and the violence against each other is what needs to stop.
Final question for you before we cut you loose. Black Lives Matter listed across it. What was the importance of making sure that was put across the artwork as well?
I think that putting that, I worked with the t-shirt designer on this, and putting Black Lives Matter on the shirt really emphasizes the point of this particular protest. It's one of those things that I don't want this picture to be something that people remember all the time. I want this picture to become irrelevant. You know, I want legislation to pass so that this picture nothing like this picture has to be made again. You know, my mom, when I showed her the picture the day before I posted it all over social media, you know, she wanted to cry because she didn't want to ever see my little brother with a gun to his head for any reason. You know what I mean? Whether it be artwork or anything, what have you. And she was sad that a piece like that, you know, that her son had to create a piece of art like this to bring attention to an issue that has been going on for decades.
Brendan, I appreciate your time today. He's handing out free prints, and also they have shirts out here too. But the artwork, thank you so much for sharing it. Tell us your first and last name real quick.
Brendan Matthews.
All right, Brendan Matthews, thank you so much. So once again, we are on the west end of the Colorado State Capitol, where there's still hundreds of people out here, even as the storm moves through, showing the importance they have, the attention they have into this movement. Kathy, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Thank you, Dylan. So many people like Brendan doing their part to change the system.